So here's the problem, and it's not with his ideas. This is what's wrong with America, folks, and this is why we kind of elected Donald Trump, even though he didn't have a lot of this here. For fucking 50, 60 years, we've been going down the toilet with a lot of these problems. We don't do any of this shit. So here comes this man with a lot of good ideas. My problem is, and the same thing with what a lot of Bernie Sanders talks about, I don't know how you're going to implement them because we're so fucked up and so many people are going to disagree. And this is the shame of it all, is that whether it's the people don't agree, the politicians aren't going to agree, I don't know how many of those things, which really do make sense, can be implemented, because you got to start picking your battles. They don't want the lobbyists out. That's the problem. That's a great idea. Give the money to people. You don't keep this money. This money, matter of fact, should be a voucher that it's not spendable anywhere, and that now you get a good idea of who the people are backing with their money. Eliminate the lobbyists. Of course we should eliminate the lobbyists, but both sides don't want that. So we've never been able to do it. And the sad part is, as much as people hate Donald Trump, he's the only one that made inroads in that, in which he told you can't even go and get a job in that after government.
In that kind of scenario, Donald Trump has a lot of supporters that aren't that rich. So if he had $100, he would be a more powerful Republican if the electorate had $100 to give him.
Speaking of
so would
money,
a Bernie. A Bernie would be powerful
absolutely.
too.
It would help Bernie. It would help a Yang. Yep. Keep this in mind about Donald Trump, folks. You say what you want about him and all the bullshit. He beat Hillary Clinton with half the money. She raised double the money he did. Not just off lobbyists. I'm talking about in general. Total income taken, she raised $1.2 billion. He raised like $600 million.
He outworked her.
He outworked her. But he didn't out-earn her. He did not out-earn her.
No, but he outworked her.
And that's very rare.
She was snoozing, and he was flying city to city to city to city. And guess what, dude? That shit still works in America. America likes to be seen. America likes to be seen. They like to be included, and they like to have things in their area.
Here's the bottom line. America and the United States, whether we like it or not, will keep moving into a progressive direction.
That's why it's called progress.
Yeah, how batshit crazy it is, AOC, no, it's not going to go her way. And it may not go Bernie's way. But an Andrew Yang, a lighter version, not as bombastic, not as crazy as AOC, she could have a great Green Deal. It wasn't. It was terrible. But it will never get implemented. You could have 1 million great ideas and 1 million great business ideas. But if you don't get them implemented, they are worthless. And hers will never be implemented. These are very interesting points.
These are reasonable things. Now, I agree with you that the government is broken, but we as the citizens, we have to keep voting for what's right. Even if they fuck it up, we got to keep voting for what's right, and we got to keep pushing the progress, right? Now, Andrew Yang's plans, they seem very reasonable to me. I think that a lot of people on both sides could agree with these plans. Now, the real question is, can he put together a campaign? And now what I've seen him doing recently, it seems like that's starting to happen now. He has families that are getting the freedom dividend. So he's giving certain families $1,000 a month as sample families. That's something the media can eat up. That is advanced politics. So he may be right now starting to really coalesce in a real political force, and it's going to be fascinating to see.
Well, let me tell you why he is. First of all, let's talk about these next debates. And then I want to talk about the freedom dividend and the UBI, because one would think I'm not a fan of that, but there's a reason I am, because I did a deep dive on that, and people are only hearing the blurb about that. They're not actually realizing how that would be implemented, and he has a complete structure for how that would be. But let's go to the 9 Democrats. You had said that Yang made it over the threshold, and you're right. He is the final one as of now. So your next debates for the end of September, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you have the 9 that are in right now, because it's, as we talked about, it's narrowing down. Biden, Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Beto O'Rourke, Amy Klobuchar made it over the threshold.
I don't know how. Is she even participating?
Yeah, I don't either. Well,
she's so quiet.
Well, she's a big centrist, and anybody that's looking for a centrist, like kind of not as progressive, because she's not. She's
a senator, right? Senators are very powerful, so you can kind of cruise on your senator.
And then Yang is the final one. Julian Castro and Tulsi Gabbard have the donor requirement.
So they
do
may
not have
make
the
it
poll
at
requirement.
At the last second.
Nobody else.
Here's what I will say. Tell me that's not a Democratic all-star list. Now that debates are getting small, Democrats are going to get a lot of time on TV to push these Democratic ideas. And by the time we roll into the general election, the American populace is going to be very used to hearing all this free shit that they're promised. I'm not sure if that'll come back to bite us, or if it'll help us. But right there, that's an all-star squad.
It's a big key. The Democrats are getting nervous. The scuttlebutt is we need people to drop out. I went and looked at the Republican order of who dropped out against Trump. They don't all drop out at one time. It's 1, 2, 1, 3. It's all at different times. They actually gave the order of the dropouts. but they had more dropouts by this point than what the Democrats have. These people, I think, are going to have to start to fall off once they're not in that debate because, like you said, we don't hear what you have to say anymore. Your campaign, A, isn't going to raise any money because we don't hear you, and B, the average idiot does not know who any of these people are. They know 3 of the candidates except what they've been spoon-fed, and you have to walk away to give these people more airtime. So you're right. We're going to go from 2 nights of 20 people to 1 night of what at this point is 9, and we'll get to hear from them more. But
that's still not that much of a gain because you still have the same amount on each night.
Unfortunately,
so even though we're losing a night, we're still not going to get a lot of time. It would be nice if they divided this into 2 nights still between the 9, but I don't know if we'll get that.
I don't think that's the plan, but that would be good too. 5 and 5.
That would be better. But more time for the candidates.
The good news is, or the bad news, depending how you see this, there's a lot more debates to come, remember, and it will narrow down. At the end of the day, in my opinion, Klobuchar, when it starts getting down to the nitty-gritty, Klobuchar will not be there. I don't know if Cory Booker will be there, and I don't know if Beto O'Rourke will be there. So, again, we will come down to a final 5 of Biden, Kamala, Warren, Bernie. Those 4 are not going anywhere, no matter what anybody says.
Yes. And then you're going to get a sweetheart guy in there. Maybe a Yang
or Buttigieg. So you may have 6.
Yeah.
And that's where that's going to go. I think your Cory, your Beto, and your Klobuchar will fall off out of that 9. And I would defy anybody to try to disagree with that because that's really where the polling is at and how it stands shake down. Now, going back to Yang about this UBI, Universal Basic Income. By the way, something we also neglected, tying right into the UBI. The UBI is about it all centers around the lack of jobs in the future due to artificial intelligence. So people need to understand this. This guy is not just trying to give this money away for no reason. He has said it in every debate, and he falls back on it every time, no matter what you ask him. This is his policy, his number one go-to. And I think it is what he's trying to do. But he's not talking, I think he's pro-reparations, but he's not going around talking about reparations all the time. He is talking about this. The bottom line is, folks, we are not doing enough to realize that in 20 years, there is going to be a shitload of jobs that do not exist, and we have to face that fact. Just like robots started taking over for the car industry, the auto industry, robotic arms putting doors on. What did it do? It rendered a lot of people out of work. You're going to eliminate the driving business. You're going to eliminate the service business. You're going to eliminate the bartending business. You're going to eliminate the fast food workers. All of your what they call bottom dwellers or your service people will be rendered useless. And if they don't go and get skills, which he should also integrate into his thing is, you can go to school for free to code.
Yeah.
Everyone who learns to code goes for free.
You want to be an X-ray technician.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a nurse.
There are going to be needs, but he's giving this out because what the fuck are you going to do when all these people don't have jobs or money?
And that's
you got a bigger problem.
That's the ticket. I don't know if he can paint that picture because it's politics. You're kind of supposed to be rosy when you're a Democrat. But here's the reality, guys. I don't know if you've seen Player One, the Spielberg movie on video games where everybody's kind of living in a shitty tin can.
I wanted to.
But what you have to wrap your head around is that the freedom dividend is this. It keeps your rent, dude. It keeps a fucking roof over your head. So if you're a truck driver that loses your job, if you're a checkout person that loses your job, if somehow your job is automated away, all right, you got $1,000 coming in from the government. You got a roof over your head. $1,000 pay rent just about anywhere. So, that's the whole deal there. And it's a direct injection into the spending economy. So it
100%.
I think if you can tax people at the higher brackets a little bit more and you can get the loopholes closed with the corporations, he wants to fix this tax thing.
And he's not even trying to do that.
This freedom dividend will help us get through automation.
I challenge anybody. You must read how he wants to do this. So the other thing he's trying to do is there's going to be an Amazon tax.
Which they paid no taxes.
Right. And it's not even necessarily on them completely, but there's going to be it's like a penny or so surcharge on every Amazon transaction that will garner and generate money toward this program. Even if it's not going to fund all of it, it's going to fund a shitload of it. So that's an ingenious idea. Fuck Amazon.
I do a lot of e-commerce, right? You know this. We do a lot of e-commerce in the tech company. And the thing is that e-commerce, there's laws and there's rules and there's different ways that you can get away paying taxes. So people will go to like a Panama where it has no tax on foreign income. So if you have a huge website and you make a lot of money in e-commerce sales, you can go to Panama and you can pay no taxes on that income. So by Andrew Yang going after e-commerce, which makes a lot of money with not so much work, and putting that money in to replace all the jobs that are going away with automation, it just makes perfect sense. I think that's a great place to get the money.
Also, keep in mind, I implore anybody to read on this before they shit on it because more welfare. No. Just so you know, if you're already getting this money, If you've already qualified for money, this is already part of your money. So now let's say you're getting $700 a month for welfare, what have you. You're not getting $1,700. You're getting $1,000. You're getting $300 more than you were already getting. So it's not like another, like a how do you do? Here's another $1,000.
It's not a double, like it's not a raise
off
for people in the
no,
in
it
welfare.
is not.
But also, if you're rich, you don't get screwed on this one. If you're a person and you make $1 million a year and you're a successful American, you still get your dividend.
They get it too. Now, here's the thing. He also said, they asked him, would illegals or undocumented people get this? He said no.
Smart.
I think that's very
Smart
important.
man. Yep.
He's not even pandering like, anyone who's here gets the money, dude.
If you're looking for clarity in politics right now, Andrew Yang's your man. If you're looking for a guy that just gives the common sense right answer 99.9% of the time, then this is your guy.
Andrew Yang is going to go far, and I hope that, number one, he gets the proper questions and being addressed as these other more popular candidates. I watched him fuck Ron Paul. He did not get the pulpit as much because they don't want to hear what he has to say. But boy, they made sure you heard what Mitt Romney had to say every single moment. It's important that Yang also, he sits very quietly in these debates and kind of waits his turn, whereas Kirsten Gillibrand is all over it and interrupting everybody. And he's got to seize his moments. I think that'll start to come as it narrows down.
And I think he's kind of done it well. Sometimes sitting back and letting everyone destroy each other is not a bad method when there's this many candidates.
Andrew Yang is the Ron Paul, and I thought I told you this. He's the Ron Paul and the Bernie Sanders of the young people. He has the most grassroots support right now. The Yang gang and on the internet and the folks that are backing this guy, he's got a lot of young people, folks. He will get more. Everybody always wondered, why does Ron Paul have so many young fans? Why did Bernie Sanders why do these 80-year-old men have such a young fan base? And people couldn't understand it. It was because of their policies. It wasn't about their age. I think Yang, a young man, has the same luster for young people. Some of this I was not even familiar with.
He can pull some like an Obama can because he has those hip policies. He's young and cool. He speaks like a young person. I was in a debate online with a bunch of people about Andrew Yang, and one of the persons was like, I don't think America's ready for an Asian president. And I thought,
I don't even know what that means.
I thought to myself, yes, they are. You know why? Because Asians are so astute. They're always on top of their game. I think Americans would be very comfortable with an Asian leader.
Well, who would determine that we're ready for a black president?
I don't even think
president,
that's a hurdle,
but not an Asian.
Well,
president.
this is just what people say in these online debates. So
nuts.
I totally think that's ridiculous. I think that Andrew Yang's real hurdle, honestly, is getting people used to the idea that the government could give you $1,000 and that could actually work and that's viable. Because it's so ludicrous to Americans who are used to getting screwed by their government every day that their government would actually give them something that would really help them. I mean, they'd be flabbergasted.
Before we go to break, I implore anybody who's listening, whether you're for Yang or not, go and read his policies. I would much rather Donald Trump be in office again. I have to say that. But I will say this, that when Trump is reelected, and I believe he will be, because I don't know if Yang has the power yet, and Biden's falling, and we want to talk about even his flubs, but I would love to see Yang be the next Democrat that makes it into this. We know ping pongs.
Let me ask you this: would you vote for Biden if Yang was the VP?
Oof.
Because you got to figure, hey man, Biden could die.
Well, yeah,
that's the closest way we could actually get Yang in.
That's all you're hoping
office,
for. Because Biden is such a Obama-phile and an acolyte of the establishment that he wouldn't implement any of that shit.
He wouldn't, but it'd be like
having
someone in waiting.
So here's what we're hoping for, and we can go out to break. Jesse, cue up the music. Get me some of that Benny Kravitz going. Here's the bottom line. Whoever did Epstein, let's get Biden in, call that same person, and see if you can make your magic happen.
That's terrible.